We have seen the dollarization process gain momentum, spurred up in particular by the sanctions against Russia in 2022. Thus, as a result of the trade war and the consequent responses from different countries, it has become a crucial issue. We will keep an eye on what happens in other nations and around the world, so our attention won't be limited to the BRICS. Examining the banking system's effects on the dollar and the framework as a whole is a top priority. Notable people like Warren Buffett are now sounding the alarm about a change that's about to happen. This concern will be thoroughly addressed. It is my pleasure to introduce myself, Nick here. In the event that this is your first time viewing the channel, my sincere wish is that you would decide to subscribe before the end. Without further ado, let us go on. The dollar's dwindling importance has prompted some high-profile voices like JP Morgan to voice concerns about dollarization. It seems like people are overstating the case for doing away with the dollar. They clearly have something to say about major changes in the international system. And the U.S. right now, American dollar. Many people try to make it sound as if the dollar doesn't exist or is outmoded when they talk about getting rid of the dollar. Nonetheless, we are aware that this change will not happen suddenly and has not happened in a single day. This tendency has been building for a while, but it gained momentum with the start of the financial crisis of 2008. As previously stated, Steam up happened after 2022, but remember that the BRICS countries started buying a lot of gold in 2010, and that trend continued until around 2020. Gold has been steadily increasing in the BRICS countries' stockpiles for the past 15 years in the gold market. Things are changing quickly, but the US dollar and the quick-based systems are still facing stiff opposition. Notable occurrences, like the continuation of tariff talks and sanctions, have contributed to this quickening, suggesting that the trade war is far from over. When looking at dollarization, the negative impacts persist. American dollar, just like I said before, this is not an original idea. Although the change is still slow, several of these events have made it happen faster. Make no mistake, this will not happen right away. It appears that 2025 will be the year when the changes will greatly escalate, although they are still occurring slowly. I contend that the BRICS states are promoting a future with several currencies, even in the middle of US-centric discussions and actions about stablecoins. In an effort to lessen their reliance on the dollar and SWIFT, they are pursuing a system with numerous centers of power. It seems like a major paradigm change is about to occur in this situation. There will be complete autonomy for each country, and each currency will have real weight. Since people have different views on how this system should be set up, the current discrepancies need to be fixed. Over time, I have broached this subject with the tech industry. XRP will act as a bridge between these many currencies. Stablecoins and central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, are essentially the same thing. It is also expected that CBDCs would include currencies that are backed by gold. Stablecoins backed by CBDCs or gold will also be available. All of these different kinds of money will be able to move through XRP value unit. Although we are intrigued by the concept in principle, we are unsure about how to put it into practice. In terms of gross domestic product GDP, the BRICS countries are clearly catching up to the US. In October of last year, 36% of the world's GDP came from BRICS Plus, proportional to 45.2% of the world's population. 23.3% of international merchandise trade, and 7% of global GDP in purchasing power parity. The change from the G7 to G20 is fascinating to see because of the obvious disparity, especially with regard to the growing influence of BRICS plus on the international stage. Transfer of goods, The situation has changed since then, so I'll say it developed slowly throughout the 23 years, from 2000 to 2023, when overall dominance jumped 12.6%, from 10.7 to 23.3%. After giving some thought, this finding is very interesting in relation to it. Another factor to think about is the G7 in contrast to the BRICS, as the G7 is starting to give up some of its power. Just to clarify, is this anything that needs immediate attention? This is not an urgent matter. We have already established that. However, it does show that change is happening and that there are indications of it. Just look at how central banks throughout the world are spreading their money out right now, a direct result of the trade war. 23%, the share of U.S. government debt held by foreign corporations is at its lowest level in 22 years. Comparing this number to 9 years ago, we see an 11 percentage point drop. Simultaneously, the percentage of gold owned worldwide has also been recorded. The amount saved in foreign currency has reached 18%. Since 2015, the share has risen by 8%, hitting a 26-year high. China has been a major buyer of gold recently, with the country's proportion of gold in its total foreign reserves having doubled since the start of 2023, and currently sitting at 7.1%. Gold is a precious metal that everyone wants, and there's no doubting that it is more than just. A report published April 27th by BlackRock suggests that China may shift its investment priorities away from U.S. Treasury securities and toward Bitcoin and gold. This could have implications for the price of gold. All cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and stablecoin projects, are part of this scenario, not just gold. When Japan starts to change its attitude, it raises serious concerns. A large number of U.S. bonds are in Japan's possession. The Japanese Minister of Finance recently made an announcement suggesting that the country's U.S. Treasury assets could be used as bargaining chips in trade talks. Given that it surfaced on May 1st, simultaneously with a period of systemic change, this disclosure should not be surprising. This announcement came less than 2 days after Warren Buffett hinted at possible market swings. A diversified portfolio that includes the U.S. currency is a wise one. Cryptocurrencies, not just fiat currencies, are what he seems to be talking about. Also, other possibilities are being considered, such as gold as a medium of exchange. Cryptos should take center stage in the end, since there are strong signs that good things are on the horizon. He clearly said that we could have to hold on to several currencies depending on what happens in the U.S. As a result, we are thinking about gold, but for the time being, we are just concerned with cryptocurrencies. I think Warren Buffett is seeing a change in the U.S. bond market, which is why we are contemplating looking at cryptocurrency.